So let's talk a little more about manual detailing. Manual detailing is very important in steel, and we should always be capable of creating connections for whom macros don't exist. Now, this is a very simple case actually, and we do have macros to create gusset plate connections like this. But I want to take you through the steps that would be needed if a macro for this situation was not available. So this is a very simple connection. There's a gusset plate welded to the column, and there are two plates which are welded to the incoming vertical brace, and they are connected. So the vertical brace is now connected to the column through these bolts. And we'll try to make this connection without using any macro. So let's start from scratch. And here we are looking at the column and the brace from the side. I've created a view which is looking at these two elements from the side. And a good idea is to begin by just double clicking on the brace and pulling it back just a random number so that it reduces the clutter. Or maybe I need to put in mind 600 for that. Yeah, something like this. And once I've pulled it back, now I can begin constructing my model in my mind, right? This won't be the final position of the brace. I need to note that, but it'll be somewhere over here or over here. We don't need to worry too much about that. So I know that my two plates coming out will be coming out like this, and there'll be a line along. So they'll be like, say, 10 millimeters on the side, and they'll be coming down like that. And they will be approaching, those two plates will be approaching the column, and they won't be hitting the column. They'll be stopping short of the column somewhere over here, say on a vertical line 20 millimeters away from the column. So let's construct that line. So we can go to my construction line object, and I can construct that line by hovering over this point and pressing enter and saying dx20, right? So I've snapped to this point, and now I can just press Control and snap to any point over here and press enter, and then say dx20 again, and I've created this vertical construction line, which is 20 millimeters away from the face of the column. Now I need another line which is inclined, which is like 10 millimeters away from the top face and the bottom face, and that will represent, those will represent the lines of the two plates which will be coming in. So I need to create these two aligned lines over here, and the best way to do that is to first of all set my work plane by 3 points along this member over here. So now I know that this is the X direction and this is the Y direction. And I can go back to my construction line object and hover over this point and say dy 10 millimeters. So that's the point I want. And then I can just press Control and hover over any point on that line and press enter and press dy. And now I know that this line is 10 millimeters parallel to the top of the brace. And I need a similar line over here. So let's go to the bottom over here, press enter, and this time say dy minus 20. Or maybe I need to say minus 10, I think. Yeah, so I just hover over this point and say dy minus 10. And then press Control, hover over this point, press enter, and dy minus 10 again. So my lines are ready. And what do these lines tell me? That my two plates will be along these lines, and the plate has to end over here because it needs to not hit the column, right? So I've established where the end of the corner point of my plate will be. So now that I have my corner point over here, let me construct the opposite point on this side, right? There will be a point over here where the plate will turn. And for that, the most appropriate command is my projected point command. And I can just press Control over this line and snap to any 2 points, and then select this point to give a 90-degree projection onto that. So now I know that this is the point where my two plates will end. This is the point close to the column, and this is the other side. Now from here, I want an edge distance of 60, then 2 rows of bolts with 60 millimeters between them. So there's 60, 60, 60, then another 60 till the end of the gusset plate. Then I want a gap of 10 millimeters between the gusset plate and the incoming brace. And then after that, I want these plates to extend into the brace another 150 millimeters to be welded to the brace. So it's, if I repeat that, it's 60, 60, 60, 60 till the end of the gusset plate. That's 4 into 60. Then a gap of 10 millimeters, and then another 150. So 160, 2, 3, 4 into 60, 10, and 150. So what do I do with that? I just use my parallel points command and I press shift. And I say 4 into 60, a gap of 10, and then another 150 for the welded portion of the two plates, right? And all I need to do is just select these 2 points, and my points are ready. If you notice on the screen, these were the first 2 points. This is the first 60, the second 60, the third 60, the fourth 60. This is the gap of 10 millimeters, and this is the end of the plate. So my gusset plate will basically be turning from here towards the column, right? And it'll be coming like that, and then it'll be coming down to the bottom, hitting the base plate, turning left, and then going back up. So all I need right now is basically to create my gusset plate points. Let's do that. What I can do is I can project this point perpendicularly to this vertical line, and we can do that by the projected point command again by pressing Control on the side of the column, and then I can just select this point, and I know that this point is now the corner of the gusset plate. So it comes from there to the bottom of the base plate over here, goes like that, and comes back up. And actually I've got all the points ready, so I might as well enter my gusset plate right now. So I can start from here, I can go to that point, to that point, I can come here, I can go in, and then I can finish it off. So now that I have my gusset plate ready, what I can do is I can now fit this vertical brace to this point, this 10 millimeter line over here. So I can go to my edit menu and go to my fitting with 2 points command. I can select the bracing. Then it asks me to select the nearest point to the fitting. I want this point to be fitted. And then it asks me for 2 points. And when I do that, my bracing is fitted back to that point. I can right click to finish the command. So now that I'm done with fitting my incoming brace, I can continue with creating these 2 plates which will be coming out of the brace into the gusset plate. And I can go to my steel menu, go to my plate command, and start entering the plates. As you can see, the plate has appeared. One thing we need to note is that since we are working in this sectional view over here, everything is being created exactly at the middle of that plane, right? So right now, this plate and this plate, they're both clashing with each other. And we can see that. We can just rotate this around a bit, and we can change the draw mode, for example. And we can see that the 2 plates are actually hitting each other. So I can also modify the thicknesses. So for example, I can double click on this one and I can change the thickness to 15 millimeters. I can change the thickness to 15 millimeters. And then as far as this plate is concerned, I can change the thickness to 12 millimeters. But also I need to change its orientation. So the anchoring point. So I press Control W. So it comes to this point. And then since this one was 15 millimeters, I need another 7.5 millimeter offset. So I press enter and give it an offset of 7.5 millimeters. So now this plate is located exactly where I want it to be, right? Let's change the color of the plate if we want to. We can change it to anything else. And now what I can do is I can copy this plate linear. Let's copy it a distance of from here to here, right? And we have another plate. Now the reason why it's not gone to the right point is because of the anchoring options of this plate. So I can just press enter, or I can just press Control W, and now it's gone to the right side. But I also need to change the sign of that offset to -7.5. It's always a good idea to enter your plates like this. Now the advantage which I have is that if I've used these offsets, so I have used the offset of front with 7.5 and behind with -7.5 for the two plates. The advantage which I have right now is that if for any reason I wanted to increase the thickness of the plate to some other number, say 20, my plate will not clash with the gusset plate. It will thicken in the outer direction, right? And that's important in detailing because changes in thicknesses are very possible. Similarly, the other plate, if I were to change its thickness to a higher number, it will be thicken in the other direction. And this is exactly what I want. So now that I have my plates exactly where I want them to be, I can proceed with creating the points I need to create the bolts. So let me create a dividing point between these two and any one of these two. And basically what I want is the origin of my bolt axis to be over here and the X direction to be this one. So I create these 2 points before I get into my bolt command. Now, regarding the bolt command, it's always a good idea that before you enter the command, because the moment you enter the command, it's going to start asking you for the parts which need to be bolted. And I can see that my gusset plate is visible. The other plate is visible, but there are 2 plates over there, and it's going to be difficult for me to select the other plate because they're lying one on top of the other. So a good idea in such situations is to actually rotate the view slightly so that both become visible and selectable, and then enter the bolt command. And when you do that, you will see that you can easily select the first plate, the second plate, the gusset plate, right click, and then select the origin of your bolt and the X direction, and the bolts will be created. Now, obviously they've been created with whatever default settings you have, but you can easily change those by double clicking and going to the positions tab. I'm going to change the X coordinates to 0, 60, 60 and the Y coordinates to -50, 100. We've talked about these a lot. This -50 is an absolute coordinate. So this is the Y direction maybe. So -50 and then another relative 100. And similarly, an absolute value of 0 followed by 60 and 60. And when I apply that, I will get the result which I want. One small thing left for us to do, if we were to just select these members and right click and do a clash check, we will see that the 2 plates and the incoming brace are clashing, obviously because the plates are going through the vertical brace. The solution is very simple. You just rotate the view around a bit, and you go into your edit menu, you go into your cut commands, and you go to the part cut command. What you just press this command, it asks for the part to be cut. You want the incoming brace to be cut, and the cutting part will be the first plate. And then it asks, do you want to delete the cutting object? No, we want to keep the plates, so we say no. And then the command continues, and once again we want to cut the same incoming brace, and this time the cutting part is the other plate, and it asks the same question. We say no again, and we're done. And we can see the results like this. If we were to just select the incoming brace and say show only, we can see that it has been cut at the points where the plates were hitting it, right? And now I can just say show all, and this is it. My connection has been finalized. So now it's time to look at the results. As you can see on the screen, this is exactly what we aimed for. in the beginning. And we've done this, we've created this connection without using any macro. We took some time, maybe 10, 15 minutes, but the only reason for that was that I was explaining everything as we went along. Once you are familiar with manual detailing and your hands are quick at finding the necessary commands, you will realize that it's extremely easy to create all these complicated connections in COMOSYS. And all you need to do is just be familiar with where the commands are and then be able to use them.